Hi, I'm Mike Blockstein from Public Matters. So I guess in terms of the the field or the definition of social practice, one of the things that comes up for me right away is a question of, well, who's defining it, and who's setting the terms of that? Is it a practice that is coming and being named by institutions, by universities who are now setting up programs which, great as they may be, are also money-making facets of a university? Is it curators? Is it the practitioners themselves? And I think this stage it's pretty hard to say, right? And I think that's what makes it kind of a ripe topic of the moment. Certainly, it's picked up steam. Whether or not that steam and momentum continues is another, I think, question to be answered and notified, or over time. I think at its best, it's social practice is it's artists who are committed to some form of process-based work that engages a public who, by and large, would not identify themselves either with the art world or as artists, or probably not even as creative individuals. Sorry,
we can pause.
Sorry. So, well, let me try to pick up where I was maybe going, which is, I guess, to me, the best part about social practice is it's maybe a recognition that there are artists who are committed to things outside of perhaps the art world context, outside the museum, gallery world thing, that have to do with more of a social change agenda, who are interested in work that's process-based, that works with people, that's collaborative, that in my ideal world, that the artist goes down a pathway where they really don't know how things are going to go, and they need to kind of like check their own, whether it's control freakiness or creativity or expectations at the door, because the minute you start working with people, you need to understand that you're part of a process, and you're part of a dialogue, that you're not necessarily the one who is always going to be the one dictating the terms or the outcomes. And it's something that I feel is really exciting overall, because it's also a recognition that people have been doing this work for a long time. It's nice now that there is more, I think, interest in it. But at the same time, I'm a little bit skeptical in terms of, will those things last? I think that artists will continue to do this work, but how it pans out within kind of an institutional framework, a funding framework, all that is really to be determined.
So could you give me an example from your work?
Sure. So Public Matters is kind of this hybrid. We're a grouping of artists and educators and media professionals. We also have people that we work with who are focused on food policy, that we work with, and we do these very long-term neighborhood-based media education and civic engagement projects. As an example, for the last some years, we've been doing work that we call market makeovers. In the public health vernacular, they're called corner store conversions, with the idea that in communities that have a lack of access to healthy food and that suffer, the consequences of poor diets, higher rates of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, etc. One of the issues is, just simply having the ability to buy quality fruits and vegetables, but beyond that, it's an educational issue. It's like you're talking about people's eating habits, their behaviors. So the way that we approach something like that is a very immersive process, where we work with high school students, we work with community organizations, we work with stores, we work with universities. We're in the third year of a project called the Proyecto Mercado Fresco with the UCLA USC Center for population health and health disparities, where we basically created a high school class where we're training students to be community health leaders and advocates. And so they learn anything from the social justice aspects around food and food access to how to create media. They do hands-on transformation of the stores, but then they're charged with the question of like, okay, that's great. So the store looks different now. It has fruits and vegetables, but how do we get people in the stores? How do we get them aware of what we're doing? How do we do things that are creative and have an artistic and creative basis to them in terms of social marketing, whether that's students dressing up in fruits and vegetable costumes and doing performances, or screening videos that they make, or leading cooking demonstrations, or doing social marketing campaigns where they get groups from the community to be featured in, you know, basically promotional ads around eating fruits and vegetables that are really different from your typical kind of public health messaging. And people walk down the street and go, oh, I know that person in that thing, you know, and oh yeah, my friend's a metalhead and he's in that thing that's talking about fruits and vegetables, right? So our work is really immersive and it's long-term, and I guess it has many of the tenements of social practice, but at the same time I have to say that our goals are always community-based. So in this sense, it's about a question of like, well, how do you sustain a change within a community, not just around increased access to fruits and vegetables, but once we go into a store and they have that inventory, how do we keep that sustainable for the store so that they make enough money that they're going to want to keep it up? How do we educate the public and get them aware that, yeah, I can go buy these things at this particular store and I should buy them. You know, it's better than junk food, and in fact, it's not as expensive as I thought it was, and in the long term, it's much cheaper than the cost of healthcare. You know, so those are our charges, and where they fit within kind of the art world and the art world context is always an ongoing thing.